today's conversation principally is around cloud spend optimization and just ways to optimize, govern, and control the usage of cloud as your organizations continue to adopt it. So for today's conversation, I want to discuss a couple of different things. First of which is just the industry as a whole, where we stand in 2021, provide some organizational insights that pertain both to how spend gets managed as well as how various organizations are dealing with the challenges of cost optimization. From there, I want to talk a bit more about the various methodologies that SHI uses with its numerous customers to control spend, as well as different automation and governance strategies that you can use in your business as well, or by working with SHI to help mature your practices. And from there, we'll move on to some other methods that you can employ by working with us, or again, doing so in your own time. So before we get into all of the different lingo for the day, I just want to level set some terms that I'll probably use throughout the presentation. Public cloud principally means hyperscalers. That's Amazon, it's Azure, it's Google. We're not talking really SaaS, Colo, Office 365, or anything like that. If you are looking for assistance with any of those, we can provide a wide variety of professional services, consulting, advisory, and implementation for any and all of those things. With cloud optimization, really what our focus is the process of just minimizing monthly costs. And basically that's bringing down your monthly rate versus what it would have been doing otherwise. Finally, walk-up pricing is basically the MSRP, or publicly available price, that you would receive before applying any sort of discount vehicle purchasing mechanism or optimization or something related to those. So as we explore this a bit more, I want to talk about the inhibitors or challenges that we see with cloud adoption. For many of our customers, there are quite a few that have robust spend in the cloud, but are simultaneously challenged with correct adoption. And this can lead to all sorts of different optimization issues. And we see them really emerge from several different categories or challenges. First of those is just a lack of alignment across the business. So we see plenty of organizations who go to the cloud, maybe driven by different departments or teams for one primary use case that has the effect of dragging many others. But in many cases, there can be perhaps a lack of identifying why the cloud is being used in the first place. And so we find that teams that haven't identified really the what and the why of that usage can itself serve as an impediment through the buildup of costs that can kind of serve as an obstruction or cautionary tale for future workloads. The others is just figuring out the alignment across the org between the technology and the processes. So we see some that are shifting from years of doing waterfall methods to agile methodologies, and there are benefits associated with the cloud when tying up those different processes. Another challenge is just whether or not teams have the proper skills to operate and secure the cloud. I believe you can be extremely secure and highly operationalized in the cloud, but obviously it does require a bit of training and onboarding of resources to correctly do those sort of things. Which brings us to just the operating model as a whole. When done right, public cloud really is a transformational force, not only from a technology standpoint, but really just how IT operates within an organization. And that really is around the people, the processes, as well as the technology within that. So the frequent conversations we have with customers who are adopting cloud is just understanding, how DevOps is leveraged. Do you have a methodology or a team, or maybe just a guy or a gal that does that? And understanding how they're going to work within the business, how different automation that may be put in place or should be put in place comes into play. These are all important conversations, as well as just things like chargeback, financial controls, governance of resources, how event-driven security and security as a whole get managed. We see different maturity levels, both from cloud customers and on-prem ones, but what remains true really from most of our experiences is that if you aren't already doing those things, it can be a major shift in thinking to take those sort of things on. But they definitely, the more you're capable of doing there, the more benefits you're going to realize out of the cloud. And that really leads us to the fact that cloud can be expensive, but it can also be extremely beneficial to your business. For as much as you can spend on it, you can definitely realize unique new lines of business, revenue streams, models to gain new customer share within your market space. And so as customers adopt and the thousands of customers we work with, we see that companies really tend to overspend. And as you'll see shortly, this is a very common trend. So we believe there's a lot to be saved there. And so the focus of this conversation is really just on also looking at how, infrastructure could end up being oversized or underutilized, or really just looking at native cloud architectures that may also have both business and cost benefits. So as I said before, there is a lot of misspend in the cloud for that third pillar we just looked at. And to give you an idea of where many companies stand within the industry, you can look at these insights from the past several years. The first one on the top left is just that over the past 4 years, we have seen that managing cloud spend across the survey of hundreds of customers from many different verticals and business sizes has continuously been the top one or second highest challenge. And so, really, as you read across these, the important thing to realize is that managing cloud spend is a challenge regardless of your maturity level, but is definitely an opportunity moving forward. Because you can see that businesses aren't shying back despite these challenges. In fact, they're going full bore and continuing to push forth. So you can see when we looked back last year at this time, IDG projected that 32% of all IT budgets would be allocated towards cloud computing. So continues to be a focus and growth area amongst a wide variety of customers and sectors. But we do see that organizations continuously are over budget. So as much as it gets allocated, the spend continues to outpace what is put in place. And so as we see that spend continuously increase, it's important to capture the savings, which brings us to the final point here as an insight is just that working with over 1,000 customers in multiple clouds, we really see that realistically you should be saving about 25 to 50% off the on-demand or publicly available that first tier of pricing. And we would see that would really help shave back, as you can see here, overspending by 23%. That there's a good chance to capture and get back within budget using a variety of methods. So why do companies overspend? So some of these may be relevant to you all on the call. This is definitely not an exhaustive list, but is definitely some of the most common ways that we see overspend occur. The first is just a lack of validation from an impartial third party. We find that a lot of customers tend not to have anyone who is internally dedicated to just saving money or focused on cloud spend. I would say in my experience, typically we see a lot of customers who have people in operations or in developer roles who have some oversight over the spend, but it's not their principal job. Same with maybe procurement as well. So we find that having a third party or some individual who's really focused just on controlling the costs and rationalizing, the ownership model there can be very important to recognizing when and how to go about saving money. The second one is just the buying programs. There's a ton of different buying programs, and not all of them are tailored to all purposes. And so making sure that you are in the right program can ensure that you're getting the correct discounts that you deserve for the way that you can consume cloud. Essentially avoiding or not realizing that these are there itself is a form of overpaying that you may not be realizing. The third is just double licensing. So we find with some clouds and some software vendors that there are hybrid benefits that essentially allow you to transition or dual use your licenses from on-premise into the cloud. And so again, this can help shave off significant percentages for things like virtual machines and related infrastructure. Another one is just the waste and the sprawl that can occur when using the cloud at scale. We see that it's excellent to use the cloud to go out, build, create things, and to innovate. But as much as that can become a focus, it can saving money can take a back seat to that. And so, for instance, in a developer environment, failure to just turn things off maybe when they're not being used or similar methods can be a way to either lose money or save money um, based on that action. The other is just commitment discounts. So similar to buying programs, depending upon how much you're spending, there are different models available and different agreements that essentially allow you to lock in certain discounts across all of your spend or a particular type of workload based off of something like an annual commitment, for example. So again, you can negotiate large upfront commitments, and this is something we help a lot of customers with, and it's a great way to save money if you are spending a significant amount of money in the cloud. The others are infrastructure and application design. It's not unusual for people to migrate workloads into the cloud and continue to operate them in a very traditional state, similar to how it might have been on premises. But beginning to peel the onion back on the way your applications functions or work together, and using more cloud native tools to basically augment or replace certain functions or features of those can provide a lot of savings as well as a lot of operational assistance, which itself can be a savings to your team and your time to work on cooler and more important things for your business. And finally is just the technology choice. Again, similar to number 6, migrating to cloud native technologies, for example, using containers for a web app or microservices or serverless architectures are all ways that you can both benefit the business as well as your bottom line and top line on these costs by moving to these native tools. So it's something that can be its own unique challenge moving from legacy to cloud, but definitely can be a way to realize a ton of savings. To give you a few examples of some different companies that pursued this, we've got 3 different technology-focused organizations who all made these sort of changes by working with SHI. So the first one on the left is a fully SaaS-based business who provides services to different clients across the United States. They're fully born in the cloud. They had a pretty healthy spend of about $2 million a year in AWS. And again, there are so many ways that you can save money that they had missed some of the stranger ones that were in this case of basically creating governance rules around the way they retain certain data and snapshots and the use of automation technologies available to the cloud enabled them to reduce 15% off the bill in the first 60 days that we started working with them. So that's just one of many cases that we're able to find in that particular customer environment, and one of the numerous ways that are available when you just start looking at your own environments and others. The middle one here is a cybersecurity company that we've worked with for quite a while. They used AWS all over the world, and in the course of us working with them, really the thing that has saved them a ton of money, you can see they're over $7 million a year, is just by optimizing and governing their reservation and management process. So basically, we have worked with their procurement teams over the long run to just build a very refined way of going about identifying and purchasing reserved instances for these environments so that they're not only the right size, but they're bought at the right time and they afford the right flexibility based off the needs of the business. Because even when you say, buy an RI, that itself has several things that need to get worked out in order to do so in the most beneficial manner. So collectively, that has been a huge savings process for them. We also just help normalize and control the sprawl and growth of their organization. Again, using different tools that can provide insights and identify waste so that we can review that and make recommendations back to their business are ways that we continue to help save them money. The third, again, is another technology company, and we use several different programs in order to help them reduce spend. The first of those was something called a savings plan. So we just employed that in order to get discounts off of certain services within AWS. The other is use of an enterprise discount program. If you're committing significant 6 to 7 figures within AWS, there are different ways to go about saving money and reduce cost. And so we had some conversations with them in AWS and were able to monitor utilization, make recommendations to optimize the environment, and then figure out the most optimal procurement process to make those purchases. So as I talk through that, there's a similar theme of process here that I'd hope you'd all take away from this conversation. And it's when you're looking at your environment, to really just look again, going back to the beginning of this, the on-demand aspect, and ask yourself how much you've really saved from that amount of money. Because again, we believe you should be getting 25 to 50% reduced from that amount. And so I would never stop there when you start consuming cloud. So just walking through this should be a way to help analyze your own environment. We always advise to look at the architecture first, because a lot of the things that follow it can help save you money, but you might be saving the wrong amount of money by doing them. So really ensure that you have the proper amount of workloads deployed, looking at your application needs, looking at how it works. Does it need to be a VM? Could it be a PaaS? Could it be deleted entirely? Does it need to work 24 hours a day? Things of that nature can really play their hand in deciding what steps to take after that. Excuse me. So assuming that you've eliminated the waste, you're controlling for sprawl, you've right-sized your instance, or you've moved it to a more native one or have a plan to do so, the next step is to do something like compute reservation. So if this is a virtual machine, looking at this either over a 1 or 3 year term is a great way to save money. I would say that, again, ensure that you have the right size before doing this, and also figure out what the lifespan of this particular application is going to be, and if it matches up to these different lengths of time. So those commitments can be upwards of a 72% discount off of what you're paying, and are a great way to help reduce costs. After you've done that, you might also want to look at, again, these different licensing program discounts. So a couple I've mentioned on the call so far, things like enterprise discount program. There's private pricing agreements for different individual services. So say, for example, you keep petabytes of data in the cloud or something like that, or hundreds of terabytes. It's different per cloud. But there are many different avenues to pursue savings for a particular service or use case. Again, talk to us, talk to the vendor, but be aware that there's ways that you can leverage these. There's others like Azure Hybrid Use Benefit, which depending on your software licensing agreements may allow you to dual use certain software licenses, or something like Azure CSP, which is a partner-led consumption agreement that SHI can provide for Azure resources in Office 365 to help you just better operate and control and manage your Azure spend and agreement. Going beyond the programs, there's also some more interesting ones that are very easily missed, and they're things like marketplace discounting. So essentially, the cloud is ubiquitously used for just about every sort of use case these days, and most of the marketplace vendors that you would use on a traditional on-premises environment are also available in more cloud optimized forms to do things like firewalls and everything else under the sun. And they oftentimes sell discounted versions of that software through partners like SHI, where we can leverage our scale to your advantage to help you reduce the cost of managing those resources. Some others are just things like consumption credits. Think of it as like a gift card for your cloud consumption that we can use within the marketplace, or service credits. So again, certain vendors may offer things that can be contributed towards professional services for different implementation projects. So you can see here, again, just walking down the ladder of savings is that there's a lot of different ways to go about doing this. And I would say even here, this list isn't exhaustive. We could probably spend an hour on number 2 alone. But there's just a ton of ways. So really just to focus on your environment and figure out, if you are at least in that band of 25 to 50% off is a good first indicator. And that brings us to our service that I wanted to quickly address. Again, we really believe that this savings potential is here, and we believe in it so much that we have built a practice around it and service a whole lot of customers in helping them find those savings. And we do so through a very refined methodology. Using everything that we've discussed today, we basically run through customer environments like your own, through monthly meetings to just evaluate waste, performance, usage, and put together optimization workbooks that are very actionable, so that you can go after savings. In doing so and identifying the ways that waste is created also allows us to create awareness and controls through different cost governance mechanisms. So that might be figuring out how to stop something from being created if it's the wrong thing to create. It could be cost allocation. It could be chargeback and reporting, just so that you can better break up your spend. But all of these, again, just help drive accountability and awareness to how spend is occurring and can help thwart it if it should not be there in the first place. We also have customers with RI management. As I mentioned in that case study, we can provide recommendations, help you walk through renewals, procurement processes, large reserved commitment contracts, and other ways that you can realize the benefits of reserved instances. We can also help you just build out, again, with the awareness messages, alerts, and automation. So we believe that really you should know what's going on with the cloud, but also be able to read through the noise. And so putting together custom alerts so that you can make the correct remediation and find the correct usage errors, help you more quickly capture those savings. And if you're interested in doing so, also automate those so that, again, the waste never really takes foot in the first place. Others is just, again, service specific strategies. So cloud native services are something that you hear me beat the drum on here, but they're a great way to save money and a great way to contribute back to your business. Because after all, that's a great reason to use the cloud. And so it would be a miss to not try to pursue it for certain workloads, be they legacy, migrated, or something net new that's being created. So finally, if you are interested in having SHI assist you with any of what we've discussed thus far, we'd love to do so. I'd love to talk to you. We've got several different ways that we could go about it. SHI is a very large manager of cloud agreements and helps customers with different buying programs all the time. So if you'd like to discuss how we could help you with your particular procurement needs around cloud, please reach out. Others are just optimization services that we discussed thus far. So if you need help either with controlling costs, chargeback, just utilizing tools that can help provide these sort of insights to us, or having us manage and support your optimization processes, please reach out and let us know, and we'd be happy to help. You can ping your account executive, and they'll know exactly where to route you. So again, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for attending. If you have any questions, please submit them into the chat now, and if not, have a great day. Doesn't look like we did not receive any questions. So I think with that, we'll wrap up here. Again, if you do have any after this, please feel free to reach out. Thank you and have a great day.